afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Anshul, and thank you, Jill, for wonderful presentation regarding AI. I think it's good opening for my presentation as well. Let me. I think you can. Can you see the screen?
Oh, yes, I can see a screen. Perfect.
Okay. Right. So I'm Midri Jayasundara, an early career researcher and personal academic tutor at the University of Sunderland in London. And I'm going to talk about science of compassion in the age of AI today. And if you want to know more about me, I would like to invite you to see this my LinkedIn profile and the work that I'm conducting or carrying out related to cognitive compassionate communication. So before starting, I would like all of you to reflect and share about this situation. Imagine that you have gone for shopping and you met 20 shop assistants. Out of 20 shop assistants, 17 of them were really delightful. They treated you very well. And 2 of them are neutral. Not nice, not rude, but one shop assistant was so rude to you. In your way back to home, which one or which ones will you be reminding in your mind? You can put in the chat box if you would like, or you can tell, unmuting your mic. If you would like, you can tell, or yes, thank you so much, everybody. Yes, I can see that the root one, unfortunately. Yes, the root one. Yes, you see how it's not any problem of all of us. This is how our human brain works. We forget all these 17 delightful shop assistants, but we remember only the one who was rude to us. So why it happens? Let's have a look on the reason why it happens. So it helps us to even help our students in the university. So we have in our brain we have 3 systems: system, drive system, and soothing system. What happens when you get that threat? Like for root shop assistant, we get our brain gets it as a threat. So that's why we keep on reminding that one, forgetting even those 17 very delightful shop assistants. When our threat system stimulates, we take only 3 actions: we fight, we flight, or we freeze. So it identifies threats, creates anxiety, and motivates us in 3 actions. So these are 3 actions. When normally threat system stimulates, we fight, we flight from the threat, or we freeze. We don't know what to do. This is very common in our day-to-day life and even in our students' day-to-day life. When it comes to group working, sometimes you might see some students are not contributing at all, so just freezing in their activity. This is unfortunately how our brain works. So let's go to drive system. So drive system leads us to try to achieve what we want or what we need. Sometimes what we believe we need, even though it is not a real need. That's why sometimes we go to shopping with a shopping list, but just looking at the items in the shop, we used to buy things, and when we come back home, we might think, oh, why did I buy this? So this is not something to blame, but it is how our brain works, the threat system and drive system activation. What happened, unfortunately, because of threat and drive systems are getting quite a lot of space in our brain, this soothing system, which is the most important system in our brain, gets very little space. So soothing system, what does it do? Soothing system allows us to think calmly, rationally, and take wise decisions. So interestingly, compassion can train our soothing system, and we can stimulate soothing system with compassion, and it helps uh, even controlling our threat and drive systems. So if you would like, you can use a Menti, or you can just put the in the chat box. What does it mean? If you hear the word compassion, what does it mean to you? What comes to your mind when you hear the word compassion? You can just type in the chat, or you can just use it the Menti, or you can use your mic. What comes to your mind when you hear the word compassion? Thank you. Empathy, understanding, and kindness. Yes, kind by intent, of course. Thank you so much for your answers. Compassion goes one step beyond the empathy. So compassion has two actions. Let's have a look. So first thing, noticing, not normalizing the distress or disadvantaging of ourselves and others. Second action is taking wise action to prevent or reduce that distress. So you can see first part is related to vigilance, observing, noticing. And the second part is about decision making, taking wise action. So, for example, think about a situation like you might have seen when you are just in the summertime, you are just watching the scenery near to a very nice river or water stream. So, suddenly you see one person fell into the river. So, you notice that the person fell into the river and you wanted to save the life. And quickly you jump into the river, and halfway through you realize that, oh, I can't swim. So it is not a wise action at all. So compassion always encourages wise action. So hope this is clear. This is from Compassionate Mind Foundation and Gilbert 2016. So we can train this compassion in ourselves and others. We have three kinds of compassion. We can develop self-compassion, compassion to others, and compassion from others. We can notice that. So compassion is not an emotion, but emotion can produce compassion. For example, here you can see the affection of a mom. It is an emotion. It helps developing compassion. And also the second picture, you can see this one person looking at the distress or disadvantaging of someone in the cold environment and offering his t-shirt. So it is the context. And also the third picture, you can see firefighters, that is the skill set. This also emotions, context, and skill sets can create compassion. So let's move on. Imagine that AI can do 90% of your job. What human qualities would make you indispensable? Can you think of the human qualities? And you can put them in the chat if you would like, or you can talk. Because we're talking about the compassion in the age of AI. Yes, empathy, judgment, critical thinking, of course, yes, creativity, of course, yes. Thank you for putting your answers, human experience, compassion, empathy. So I think, thank you for having your time to put them in the chat box. Empathy is the first part of the compassion. So that's why you can see most of the people use empathy to sell products. For example, baby products and the products for vulnerable people. You can see they identify the distress or disadvantaging of people, and they make it they make that opportunity to make profit. commercializing. But compassion goes one step beyond that. It is again taking wise action to prevent or reduce that distress. Compassion does not take very narrow, like enhancing or increasing the profit, like narrow purposes, but it is taking wise action to prevent or reduce the distress or disadvantaging. Yes, smile, tone of voice, verbal and non-verbal response in the conversation, trust, plagiarism, pragmatism, of course. Thank you so much for putting your answers. And all these qualities, like what you have put in the chat box. And have you ever noticed what are the skills even now the employers are looking for? For example, team working, leadership skills, problem solving, critical thinking, resilience, and all this kindness, everything. Here you can see what the Times Top 100 Employers editor, Martin Birchall, highlighted here. Right, the employers are looking for all these skill set. So that's why even in this age of AI, we need to create compassionate communication, because research shows when you train yourself or your students or anyone in this cognitive compassionate communication, we develop team working skills, problem solving, critical thinking, leadership, resilience, and all the skill set that employers are looking for in this era. And also it also help mental health challenges, how we can address them, even though the AI is taking or AI is transferring quite a lot in workplace, healthcare, and education, but still we can see how these mental health or well-being challenges are increasing, how staff and students are complaining about burnout rates, and also getting stress, distress, anxiety, and managing the workload, all these things. So compassionate communication helps us addressing all these things. So you can see here, even the marking load um, of the staff, and also feeling isolation and connecting crises. You can see how much we are connecting to each other, even in our workplaces or when we are doing any of the teamwork or group work. So it helps us, if we can develop cognitive compassionate communication, it helps us addressing all these things, which I don't think that AI could be of help. So, and also, these are understood as most common problematic behaviors in teamwork or group work. Monopolizers, the one who is always dominating the group. You can see, I'm sure you all have the experience of this. When you have teamwork or team discussion, group meeting, someone is always dominating. Not to blame the person, because we understood how our threat and drive systems are working in the brain. Here, the drive system is stimulating, the person wants to be the first. So Yalom, 2002, experimented about this, and he says monopolizer is the most noxious person in the group. So the other most common group behavior is common non-contribution. So you can see sometimes someone is not at all contributing to the group discussion or the meeting. Again, this is the threat system, the freezing state of the mind. They can't think what to tell and what to do. So this is the activation of threat system. How we can address all these two issues as well? So here we can use cognitive compassionate communication to address these two most common problematic behaviors and enhance the psychological safeness, where anyone in the team or the group feels psychologically safe to talk whatever they would like to talk. So we are not going to blame anyone just because they are not contributing or just because they are dominating the group, because we know how our brain works. So even Del Monte 2022 identifies that 4 regions in our brain, there are neurons that function specially to extract meaning from the social gaze. So it is important how we use our verbal as well as non-verbal communication. And looking at everyone in the face-to-face meeting, and when it comes to online, of course, we can read each one's body language if our cameras are switched on. And also we can use warm tone and gentle voice when it comes to online. So this also helps neurodiverse students, encouraging with all this body language for them to come in and contribute to the discussions. Why do we need compassion? Of course, research shows that when we use cognitive compassionate communication, members feel sense of belonging, and also they feel safe and more collaborative, and also it encourages us to be respecting to each other and enhancing intellectual depth and adaptability. And also this is also came up with my PhD research, where I used 5 Sri Lankan universities and 5 UK universities, and I collected data, analyzed with mixed method, quantitatively and qualitatively both. And what I found, when we train our students in cognitive compassionate communication, they develop their academic performance, including critical thinking, problem solving, and also their social interactions and social experience. Here you can see they also develop their innovation and creativity as well. So these are some of the examples from some universities. They use this cognitive compassionate communication in their credit-bearing assessments. We can use them for credit-bearing assessments, which helps reducing staff mark load, and also students' authentic assessments. So using them, what they highlight is it helps developing leadership, problem solving, critical thinking, and resilience. So this is using Copilot. I tried to develop this one, and I think as Jill highlighted, we should have the creativity as human beings. If we did not have creativity, we cannot even properly prompt AI to create something. AI, of course, helps us, but we need to have the skill set to get what we need out of that. So you can see here, it's reflecting on what we have taught and the future skill set that we need in this AI-driven world. So we can see that developing or training our students in cognitive compassionate communication, we can help empower our students using psychological safeness and equity, accessibility, belonging, and also developing this effective communication, and also developing the holistic well-being and resilience, growth, and also what these current employers are looking for, this skill set to be vigilant, to be resilient, and to become more inclusive and become critical thinkers, problem solvers, and also decision makers in their career. And also they can be compassionate leaders who can be empowered with all these skill sets. And let's reflect on how students can develop these compassionate intelligence. So with the research that I have done for my PhD study, we can train our students or anyone else on these skill set. So we can use these practical, cognitive, compassionate communication skills. How we can assist non-contributors. If someone is not contributing at all, we can let them think. Little bit of time for them to think. And then if it is online, we can use waving hand to show that we are paying attention. We are attentive of them. And also using eye contact and nodding head. Like these little micro behaviors tell them that they are in the attention and we are paying attention for whatever they are going to share. And if two people are talking together in a group, so we can help them stop that click, so it does not help whole group discussion. So we can invite them to the group discussion using very gentle and warm tone. And also we can use gentle and warm tone to invite them. If someone is not contributing, letting some time for them to think and then using their name to invite to the discussion. And these strategies will help, even though they are very micro level, but they help to develop group discussions, develop the interactivity, and help students to be part of their group work using the gentle and warm tone, listening mindfully, focusing our attention with all 5 senses. We are not going to multitask here, as research shows that multitasking does not help us in long term. It helps during very short time, but in long term, we become very tired if we are going to multitask. Rather than we can use multi-senses and one task. Single tasking with all senses are used to focus on one task. So also we can use saying thank you or being generous, and also we can use nodding to validate and encourage the communication. Inclusive eye contact, always not keeping eye contact to one person, keeping eye contact for everyone, but when it comes to online, it is we call screen gaze, because eye contacting would not be possible when it comes to online teams or online groups. So watching carefully how each member flourish with inclusivity and thanks, and also using our body language to show that we are attentively listening and paying attention. And if someone is in the middle of the sentence, we can also help. We use pause in the hot potato, like if someone is stuck in the middle, we can validate, not just stopping from that, oh, thank you so much for that point, because we validate with something that the person has mentioned, and then we can invite someone else in the group to contribute to the discussion. And also helping if there are some who needs the help regarding time management or self-organizing, helping them with those skill sets to develop them. And we can use the language, very plain and accessible language for each and everyone. And also using interruptions in online groups, we can use raising hand, manual or digital hand, to show that we are interested in coming to the discussion or contributing to the discussion, and also being respectful. And when it comes to disagreeing, of course we can disagree, but respectfully. And using screen gaze to watch everyone and notice how everyone is flourishing, or if someone is having any frustration, helping them with whatever the help that they are in need. And when it comes to intervening, for example, one of my my students, when I'm having the experimenting with them, one student lost the internet connection and he lost the contact. And while he was in the middle of discussing a research article to the group, he was just presenting his research article and lost the internet connection. And then when he joined back, he totally forgot where he stopped. After training all these students, this was happening after training students in their cognitive compassionate communication skills. And then someone intervened coming from the group, like, oh, you stop from this point, so can you please start from that point? So it was really helpful for the students. And in the focus group I had after that, the one who lost the internet connection mentioned that it was really a great help for him to continue without hesitation, because someone intervened and helped in the middle, giving him the point that where he stopped. So those kind of interventions are really important. And also, when it comes to silences, we can also allow them to be a little bit in the silence and then come into the discussion. And also we can check with the body language, how their body language says whether they are having any difficulties with understanding or whether they understood everything or not, and then intervening. So these are the top tips that we can use in nonverbal communication when it comes to online group discussions using cognitive compassionate communication, which I found through my PhD research. So hope it gives you some time to read them. And also using warm voice and tone, it is really important because in online we could not be able to understand the way that we understand people in person context. So let me come to the summary. So we're talking about why AI cannot replace these human qualities, especially the when it comes to compassionate communication. AI could not be able to replace it, which helps us. That's how we can, using cognitive compassionate communication, we can reduce our threat and drive system stimulation, and we can stimulate the soothing system, which helps us to think calmly, rationally, and take wise decisions, down regulating both threat and drive systems. So notice, not normalize the distress or disadvantaging of ourselves and others, and taking wise action to reduce or prevent that distress or disadvantaging for ourselves and others. So let me highlight here, if we can develop self-compassion, it's easier for us to offer that to others, being compassionate to others, and even receiving compassion from others. It's easier for us to notice when we receive compassion from others. And we can address problematic group behaviors like non-contribution and monopolizing or dominating. And these practical cognitive compassionate strategies helps developing psychological safeness, um, which means that no one is having the belief that anyone in the group can share their ideas without having any hesitation or thinking of someone will humiliate just because whatever they are going to tell or they are sharing in the group. So it helps to have effective communication, community building, for effective problem solving and decision making processes, and also fostering emotional intelligence and compassionate leadership. And finally, I would like you to put something, if any one thing that you can tell, or just reflecting on what we have listened up to now, what one thing that you would take with you today? You can tell, unmuting your mic, or you can put in the chat box if you like. Yes, thank you, Anshul, of course. And thank you, Adela. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Fahim, of course. So I want to share one thing again. It is like Google 2012 to 2017. They had done a big project like using $5 billion project. They wanted to find what is the quality or the behavior that makes any groups outstanding. And this is called Project Aristotle. And finally, they found one thing out of 250. They checked 250 attributes, and 180 groups were used. And finally, they found it is nothing else but psychological safeness, feeling safe that you can talk whatever you feel you want to talk, without being worried about what others are thinking in the group. So, but they did not find how we can develop psychological safeness. It is compassion can help develop psychological safeness among group members. So thank you everybody for your sharings here. And these are some of the references, and thank you for your support. And if you have any questions,